Hi everyone, it's Michaela. I'm here with Sergeant Steve with episode 5 of SLPD Q&A Forum.
Michaela, let's take it outside today.
You know what? I think that's a good idea. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, we are outside in downtown San Leandro here with Alfredo, who has a question for Sergeant Steve.
Sergeant Steve, how should someone respond when being stopped by the police? Should they be concerned or scared?
That's a great question. So I think what's most important to know is that during a traffic stop, for example, safety for everybody involved is what's most important to us, not just for the officers on the street, but for the community members that we're contacting. So if you are driving a vehicle and you get stopped by the police, you're going to see the red lights and the blue lights, and you're going to hear a siren as well. What we're going to ask you to do is pull over to the right side of the road, pull over slowly and stop, turn your car off, roll the window down. You may have to roll the window down before you turn the car off, but some order of that. And then if it's at night, we're going to ask you to turn interior light on, roll that window down so we can speak to you and have a contact with you. And lastly, what we're going to ask you to do is not make any sudden movements. Don't reach for anything in the car. Don't reach into any spaces under your seat or in a center console or door pockets. The officer will contact you at the driver's side door through the open window, and he'll be having a conversation with you and give you some further instructions.
And I'm here with Morgan. Morgan, what is your question for Sergeant Steve?
Good morning. Thanks for visiting. Sergeant Steve, my question is, when you encounter someone who is having either a mental health crisis or an addiction issue, what's the decision-making process in terms of when you call in the CAT team, when you transport to John George yourselves, or when you take them to detox?
Great question. So let's talk about what the CAT team is first. So CAT team, C-A-T-T, is the Community Assessment and Transport Team. The program began in Alameda County in 2018. And what the program does is it's a transport program that pairs an EMT or an emergency medical technician with a mental health clinician. So if we have someone who's experiencing a mental health crisis, the police will respond. And if that person is nonviolent and just in need of medical attention, the CAT team will respond out with us, and they will take care of all the paperwork and the transport. So the deciding factor is the violence. If someone is violent and they require being restrained, we're not going to call on the CAT team for that situation. If it's someone who's experiencing some kind of intoxication or addiction, typically that's going to be a medical call. We're going to call in our medical Alameda County Fire Department. They're going to come in and provide medical care, and then the transport will be handled by Falk Ambulance.
And now we're going to head over to Saigon House in the Manor and talk to George, who has a question for Steve. And I'm here with George. George, what is your question for Sergeant Steve?
If I have somebody come to my store and gunpoint at me, what should I do? If I have a gun myself also, what should I do?
So the first part of the question is, what should you do if someone comes to your business and they're armed with a firearm? So safety first. If they're giving you commands and you feel like your life is in jeopardy, you want to do what they're telling you to do. We don't want to have any physical altercations or have any situations where guns are going to be fired. So your safety and your life is more important than the money in your till. So if they're demanding money, give them the money, get on the ground if they're telling you to get on the ground, and just make sure your safety is first. And you asked the second question, what if you have a firearm at your business? So that's a good question. So a lot of business owners in town do carry weapons, firearms, and what should you do? We never want anybody in our community to get in a gunfight with somebody. So again, safety first. If you have to protect yourself or protect a customer, that's going to be your decision to make. But what we're going to ask you to do is go along with the demands that are being made and just make sure you're protecting yourself and your customers.
All right, and now we are here with Emily Grego, who is the president and CEO of San Leandro's Chamber of Commerce. And you have a question for Sergeant Steve. Would you ask your first one?
Sure. If you don't mind, I'm going to look at it on my phone. So my first question for you is, what do you recommend for businesses and their employees when they encounter an unexpected guest or an angered customer or an upset customer?
So this does happen a lot. We do get calls for service where a customer feels like they've been wronged in some way. And the question is, what should the staff or what should business owners do? It's a great question. Because it happens so routinely, we have some basic information we want to give to anybody who's involved in any businesses in our community. So if you feel like somebody is going to become violent, or if they're becoming loud and it's concerning for your safety, the safety of your staff, please don't confront the person. Just call the police department. Safety first for your staff is paramount. So we don't want to put anybody in a situation where violence is going to occur or someone's going to get harmed. Call the police department. If you feel like it's an emergency, call 911. Otherwise, call our non-emergency number. We'll come down. We'll contact anybody who's involved. We'll sort out whatever problem may be perceived, and we'll make sure there's a positive resolution.
So my second question to you is, what is the best advice you can give business owners who experience theft and property damage?
So great question, especially considering that it's October, which is National Crime Prevention Month. So any business in our town, in our community that's experiencing theft or property damage, we're going to ask a couple things. Let's try to prevent these things before they happen. And one of the ways we do that is with our crime prevention unit at the police department. So please, we're going to put some information right here on the screen for Jenny Crosby's contact information. She's our crime prevention specialist, and she'll be able to do a site visit with your business. She'll be able to give you advice. She'll be able to have postings of contact information for police department, for emergency services, and she may even have some suggestions with how to maybe make the front of your business a little more safer for people coming and going. So that's the first thing we're doing is we're going to try to prevent the crime before it happens. If it's happening in the moment, the best thing that we can ask for our community members is be really good witnesses. We're going to send officers out. We're going to have people respond to your business, and they're going to get the customer service that we demand from our staff. That's going to include investigative leads, video, witness statements, and so that becomes really important for us. If we have a follow-up we have to do in order to locate people responsible for those crimes, we want to make sure we have all the information possible. So again, let's try to prevent it before it happens, and if it does happen, let's be good witnesses.
That's great. That's really good advice. So my next question is, how can businesses promote safety for their employees and their customers?
So it comes down to training. That's a really great question. A lot of the questions we're talking about today come down to, are the staff of the businesses in our community, have they received any specific training when it comes to maybe a hostile customer? So what we're going to ask is if you have a business in town or an organization you're running in town, please get with your staff, have some type of a training that talks about workplace violence. And also I'm going to shamelessly plug Jenny Crosby one more time. Our crime prevention unit, she can facilitate those trainings and those classes and make sure that any business in our city is a safe place to do business.
My next question was going to be, is there a specific person at the police department that could maybe help with that training?
Yeah, correct. So I'm going to plug her one more time. I work with her very closely at the PD, Jennifer Crosby. She's our crime prevention specialist. Once again, there'll be some information right here, phone number and email. Please reach out to her. She is a major asset for us. Again, she'll come out and do site visits. She can help you look at bushes. For an example, if you have a lot of shrubberies in the front of your business, people could maybe hide in them. She'll come out and give you some information and some advice on like maybe trimming down those bushes, making it a safer place for people coming and going.
Thank you. And my last question for you is, what recommendations do you have for businesses who stay open late and safety for their employees and their customers?
So we do have a lot of 24-hour businesses and late-night businesses in our community. So if you see something, say something. Again, this comes down to training. Please, if you have a business and you're open late, train your staff. If they are in a situation where they feel uncomfortable, if there is a customer that's giving them those the hair on the back of your neck standing up kind of a feeling, please call the police department. We'll come out, we'll talk to people, we can contact people. Our goal is community safety. And the last thing we want to do is have somebody feel unsafe, but feel too afraid to make a phone call to the police department. Let's not worry about that. Give us a call. We'll contact people. We'll have conversations with people. We can even provide training to staff if need be. But we want to make sure everybody's being safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to be here and talk with you and ask these questions. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everybody from the community that came out today and asked questions. Thank you for your participation.
And we look forward to seeing you guys for episode 6.
Before we go, if you are looking for a career in law enforcement, we are hiring. Please go to whereareblue.org for more information.